Ever had that moment where you're somewhere new, yet it feels oddly familiar, like you've been there before? It might not just be your brain playing tricks. Across cultures, the idea of reincarnation has stayed alive for centuries, suggesting your soul doesn't end with one life but comes back, evolving and carrying pieces of the past forward. Sure, science hasn't locked down the concept of past lives, but plenty of people around the globe have experiences that make them wonder, have I walked this earth before, just in a different form? In this video, we'll explore the most compelling signs that might reveal your soul's been here before. These aren't vague hunches. These are real moments that make you stop and think. And as we go through each one, you might find yourself connecting the dots in your own life. And hey, if you're new here and you love uncovering hidden truths and deep-level insights like this, make sure you subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from. 1. Fears that don't add up. Ever get hit with a fear that just doesn't make sense? Like you're standing near a calm lake, and suddenly your chest tightens like you're drowning. Or you're perfectly safe on a balcony, but your body reacts like you're about to fall 30 stories. Here's the thing, your fear might not be about this life at all. Some people believe irrational phobias are emotional echoes, leftovers from a traumatic event your soul once lived through. In other words, your body's reacting to something your conscious mind has no memory of. Because it didn't happen here, it happened before. In the world of past life theory, this is a powerful clue. Maybe your soul experienced drowning. Maybe it fell from a height or worse. And even though this version of you hasn't lived that moment, your soul hasn't forgotten. The memory lives in your energy, your instincts, your reflexes, and that's why logic doesn't help. You can read all the stats that say flying is safe, but it won't calm that fear of planes if your soul remembers a fiery crash from lifetimes ago. The upside? Once you recognize that your fear might not be yours in the first place, that it could be a scar from another lifetime, you take the first step toward healing it. You're not broken. You're just remembering something old, and maybe it's time to let it go. 2. Recurring dreams? Or are they memories? Ever wake up from a dream that felt too real? Like it wasn't a dream at all? Maybe you're walking through ancient streets you've never visited, but somehow you know every turn. That's not just weird, it could be a glimpse into something deeper. Many believe dreams like these are more than random brain noise. They're flashes from your soul's memory bank. While you sleep and your conscious filters are down, buried past life fragments can slip through, uncensored and crystal clear. And here's the kicker. People who've gone through past life regressions often find their recurring dreams line up eerily with what comes up under hypnosis. That old temple, that battlefield, that unfamiliar but familiar face, it might not be fiction. It might be you, somewhere else sometime before. So next time a dream hits you hard, ask, was that a fantasy or a memory? And if you're serious about finding out, start a dream journal. Patterns don't lie, and your dreams might be trying to tell you exactly who you were. 3. The skills you were born knowing. Ever try something for the very first time, and it feels like you've done it 1,000 times before? Maybe you pick up an instrument and your hands just know. That instant click? It might not be talent. It might be memory. A lot of spiritual teachings suggest your soul doesn't come into this life as a blank slate. Instead, it carries echoes, skills, instincts, even passions from lifetimes you've already lived. Think about it. Child prodigies who paint like masters or play symphonies at 5 years old. How? Maybe it's not just gifted. Maybe it's remembered. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. You could have a strange affinity for pottery, storytelling, cooking, healing, or mechanics. Things you just get without explanation. that comfort, that flow. It could be a soul-level familiarity, something you've refined over lifetimes. So next time you're weirdly good at something out of nowhere, pause for a second. What if this isn't your first time doing it? What if this is your soul picking up where it left off? 4. Speaking a language your brain never learned, aka unexplainable. Alright, this next one might sound like something straight out of a sci-fi script, but stay with me. Ever heard of unexplainable? It's a phenomenon where someone, without any training or exposure, suddenly starts speaking, understanding, or even writing in a language they've never studied. No classes, no practice, just fluency out of the blue. Picture this. Someone wakes up from a dream and starts mumbling in fluent Latin. Or a kid in a rural town suddenly blurts out phrases in fluent Japanese, without a TV, phone, or tutor in sight. Sounds wild, right? And yet, stories like this exist. Rare? Absolutely. Controversial? Totally. But still undeniably fascinating. Some believe unexplainable is a soul-level memory leaking through, a language your consciousness forgot, but your soul never did. In past life theory, it's seen as one of the more jaw-dropping signs that your spirit's been around the block, or the globe. Now, skeptics have their say. They argue it's subconscious recall or mimicry or just coincidence. And yeah, scientifically, it's not a slam dunk. But let's be real. If someone starts speaking ancient Sumerian out of nowhere, you're gonna raise an eyebrow, right? The point isn't to prove anything with this, it's to invite curiosity. Because if something as complex as language can linger across lifetimes, what else might your soul be holding on to, just waiting for the right crack in the surface to shine through? 5. Strong attraction to certain cultures or time periods. Have you ever felt strangely at home in a culture you weren't born into? Like, something inside you lights up the moment you hear traditional Japanese flutes, see ancient Egyptian symbols, or read about life in the Roman Empire. That kind of deep, emotional pull, one that feels more like longing than curiosity, might not be random. In many reincarnation philosophies, it's believed that your soul holds onto imprints of places and times it once called home. So, when you feel inexplicably drawn to a specific culture or historical period, it could be your spirit remembering, reaching for something familiar from long ago. This goes way beyond liking the food or enjoying a documentary. We're talking about feeling emotionally connected to traditions, music, rituals, or even values that seem completely out of place in your current life. One person I spoke with swore they had never studied anything about Tibetan monasteries, but they could describe the layout, the chants, and even the smell of the incense. Every detail hit like a memory, not imagination. If you've ever decorated your space with artifacts from a culture you've never visited, or if you've caught yourself instinctively adopting customs that aren't from your heritage, don't brush it off. Your soul might just be trying to reconnect with its roots, from a life you no longer consciously remember. 6. Unexplained physical marks or sensations. Ever looked at a birthmark and thought, that almost looks like a scar? Or felt an ache in your body that doctors can't quite explain? Yet it always flares up in the same spot, for no clear reason? Here's a wild idea. What if your body is holding on to memories your mind can't access? Some spiritual perspectives believe that our physical form can carry echoes of how we died or lived in a past life. That strange mark on your ribcage, maybe it lines up with an injury you suffered centuries ago. That chronic shoulder pain that's never healed, even though nothing's wrong on paper, it might trace back to something that happened in another lifetime. But it gets weirder in the best way. People have reported feeling things that shouldn't be there. The tug of a long braid down their back. despite having short hair, or the sensation of tight boots on their feet, in the middle of summer, barefoot. And sometimes it's not about pain at all. Maybe you've got perfect posture or balance, even though you've never danced or done gymnastics a day in your life. Could be your body is reactivating a muscle memory, skills your soul spent lifetimes developing. The point is this: your body might be telling a story your brain forgot. So if something about your physical experience feels oddly persistent or unexplained, lean in. That sensation, that mark, that reflex, it could be a leftover from a version of you that once was 7. That unshakable feeling you're not from here. Have you ever looked around and thought, this just doesn't feel like where I'm supposed to be? Like the world is moving on a different wavelength than you, and you're out here wondering if you somehow ended up in the wrong timeline. You're not alone. That sense of not fitting in, of feeling disconnected from modern life, rush cities, or even social norms, it might not just be a personality quirk. Some believe it's your soul remembering a different time, a different life. It's not always dramatic either. Sometimes it's subtle, like a deep longing for simplicity, or a fascination with an era you've never lived through. Or maybe there's a country, a culture, or a way of living that feels like home, even though you've never set foot there. These feelings are more than just daydreams or nostalgia. In spiritual circles, they're often seen as echoes, whispers from your past lives reminding you of who you've been and what your soul once cherished. And no, you don't need to fully buy into reincarnation for this to matter. What if, instead, you saw it as a clue, a chance to look inward and ask, what am I really drawn to and why? Because sometimes the answers we're searching for aren't out there. They're deep within, waiting to be remembered. And hey, if you've made it to the end of this journey, drop "I understood" in the comments to let me know you felt something real here. I'd love to hear which sign resonated most with you. And if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We dive deep into topics that help you understand your soul, your past, and your purpose. If that sounds like your kind of journey, you're in the right place. Thanks for watching.